So everybody on your screen, you have Siddharth here. And on 9th of August, he sent us an email saying that he scored a 760. His score was not really as recent as the date here. It was some time back. So let me just invite him. I'll stop this share. And hi, Siddhant. I can see you now very well.
Hi, Sandeep.
Right. So first of all, congratulations. We came to know a bit late about your score. So whatever the reason that was, I do not know. But you shared this with us on the 9th of August. So uh, first of all, let us know what your GMAT journey has been like, and then how the 99th percentile happened. What
Okay,
worked for you
so
in our content, etc.
sometime in the middle of 2021, I enrolled with top 1%, and I took the the recorded lessons program
Right,
and all the materials, of course.
right, right.
So I studied a bit off and on with the materials, but the real actual study that I did was in October 2022. I
Okay.
I took 3 weeks off from. I work as a trader for Morgan Stanley, so you're given 2 weeks of mandatory employee vacation. I took another week, so for 3 weeks, I live in Bombay, but my family is based in Delhi. So I moved to Delhi for those 3 weeks and didn't decide to go on a holiday. Decided that this is more important. So for those 3 weeks, the material for top 1% was all I focused on. I
Right.
used to wake up at 6 in the morning, and I used to study for 3 hours at every stretch, and then till like 8-10 p.m. or something like that. Nothing too extravagant. But for those 3 weeks, this was my sole focus.
So that
And
was like all what, 9, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day,
yeah,
almost like
yeah,
something like that.
about 10 hours a day for about 2.5 weeks.
Right, right.
So
Mhm.
this was the first time that I realized that I in order to crack this exam, uh, which is very different in the way other exams are, very different than other exams. This one is obviously adaptive, as we all know.
Mhm.
So it is not good enough to constantly maintain the same level of questions. I
Mhm.
needed to go to harder and harder levels,
Right.
while simultaneously not getting sidetracked by doing extremely hard questions which A will not feature in the exam, and
Mhm.
B, I will not be able to solve, say, for quant within the 2 minutes per question sort of
Mhm.
rough estimate. I will not be able
Right.
to do that. That would lead to disillusionment. So
Mhm.
I went through all of your. Interestingly, from the pre-recorded video lessons,
Mhm.
I started watching them, but
Mhm.
uh, because of work, I stopped in the middle, and then my
Mhm.
access for those expired. So I said, okay.
Mhm.
But since I have this opportunity, I went through all of your study materials, all the handouts,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Especially for English, it was
Mhm.
very helpful. So
Right.
I have answered every single question in your handouts, etc., and
Mhm.
gone through every handout.
Mhm.
The octave method in
Mhm.
that has really helped me. And so by the time once I had gone through that significant amount of practice material that you've given us,
Mhm.
when I started to do, say, the GMAT
Mhm.
official mock papers, the answers would start springing out to me.
Right. Right.
Also, because of the vast database, you,
Mhm.
the mind starts to recognize a pattern that, hey, okay,
Right.
if it's a sentence correction question, within the first like 10-15 seconds or so, the errors seem glaring.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you don't need to really apply yourself much, but that's because you have applied yourself while doing
Solving
all
so
of
many questions beforehand.
yeah.
Right. What was the most challenging area for you in verbal, and how did you conquer it?
So I think the most challenging one was reading comprehension. I have been a
Mhm.
product of CBSE education. The reading comprehensions that we used to get in English, even up to the 12th grade, we were. I remember during the board exam, during the reading
Mhm.
time that we are given before the exam commences, I used to go through the passages and you could figure out. It was
Right.
very, but with the GMAT, the reading comprehensions are tough, and
Mhm.
they require you to understand the material and answer questions on the basis of that.
Right.
Let's say even I'll tell you the difference that top 1%
Mhm.
and with the octave method I got was, even before this, I was able to figure out between minimum 2 or maximum 3 options. Okay.
Right. Right.
But with the prep material that you provided and
Mhm.
going through the handouts, I was able to narrow it down. And
Right.
there are no marks for steps. You need
Right.
to
Right.
write answer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
that's what drove me over the
Mhm.
edge, let's just say.
Right. And critical reasoning and sentence correction also. Just tell us how this was. Was this easier for you than RC?
Yes, it was easier than RC. In sentence correction, in sentence correction and critical reasoning, it is a game solely of practice.
Right.
So I just went through all the questions, did them. I used to meticulously keep a timer.
Mhm.
So, the 36 questions, and I think it's been a while since I gave it. So I think it was 65 minutes. So
Mhm.
36 questions, 65 minutes. I would try to at least, and when I was marking
Mhm.
my answers, I
Mhm.
used to write a sort of, if it is a guess, let's say I had to
Mhm.
boil down between two options. So if it was a guess,
Mhm.
I used to write a G next to it so that
Mhm.
I could go back and see that
Mhm.
if my guess was correct or not.
So sort of
And
an error log is very important in this.
yes, I think that was an error log. Come to think of
Okay.
it now, and it's okay to guess, I feel, but
Mm.
the probability of those guesses being correct will only increase once you start to practice, and you need to know why.
Mm.
Eventually, say were guessing between two outcomes, the number of guesses needs to reduce over time, and you need
Right.
to figure out why you guessed what you did and whether that corresponds to the actual answer.
Okay. So you must have gone through the concepts in sentence correction as well, the one
Yes,
that you've
yes, I
given.
have read
Loads of.
all the handouts.
All right. And tell us about your overall practice for the timed practice mock. As you said, you anyway timed yourself. Did you write sectional tests or mock tests as well, or did you
No,
not rely too much on this?
I just so actually, interestingly, I thought that my progress was happening well, but I decided. So this exam that I gave, I was in Delhi, so I gave it in Gurgaon
Mm.
during my vacation, as I had mentioned.
Mm.
I decided that this exam is a dress rehearsal for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
I didn't think that this would be my actual attempt.
Mm.
So I said, okay, I am progressing well. Let this exam be a dress rehearsal for me.
Mhm.
So I gave two of those
Official mocks. Yeah.
GMAT mocks, and then I analyzed my errors in those. I got a 740 in one and a
Mhm.
730 in another. So
Mhm.
that's why I say that it was a dress rehearsal.
Right, right.
So, and then I decided to again give those two exams, but since it's an adaptive thing, if they
Mhm.
had given the questions that I had
Mhm.
errored on previously, I know the answers now.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to gauge the toughness of the level of questions.
Mhm.
If I,
The highest toughness you can get to, basically.
yeah, highest toughness I can get to, and I
Right, right.
scored another 740 on that one.
Okay.
So I said, okay, this is my level, and depending, of course, it's an exam. We've given competitive exams before. It really matters what you're like on that particular day. So
Right.
I decided, but the only thing that I repeatedly am stressing on is it should be completely in your nature to answer questions because you have done all of that practice. So if I have to
Right.
drive a car, I don't really need to think about driving because
Right, right.
it's
Great, great.
ingrained in me.
Great
So
analogy. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's not, I'm not doing anything special. This is another Monday. So
Right.
I on the day of the exam, it went off smoothly. Actually, once it was going well,
Mhm.
I made it a point. So, and because of the practice exams, I could gauge what kind of order I want to go in. So
Right.
I tried with English first and math later, but then I realized that the best outcome for me would be if I go math first and English
Mm.
later.
Right.
So my mind is freshest. That's how
Mm.
I function. So
Mm.
my mind was freshest when I started off with math. So
Mm.
I did math and I did English, and but again, this was a dress rehearsal, so I was very relaxed.
Mhm.
I when I got my score, uh,
Mm.
under no circumstance did I think that I would be getting a 760, because even in the mocks I
Mhm.
was getting a 740, and this is a real life exam situation.
Right.
And yeah, so maintaining an error log, uh, solving questions like your life depends on it, and uh, going through all of your handouts. Let's say I wouldn't have gone through 100% of the math thing, but I did a lot of the handouts, etc. But I did a lot of questions uh,
Right.
from your handouts. And English, I did it all. I did it all.
Right.
I used to make say 36 questions, 65 minutes just of sentence correction. Try and
Mhm.
aim, try and go towards 40 questions.
Mhm.
Seeing my successful questions, how many were there, how many guesses, making mixed bags of all three: reading, comprehension, and in your handouts you have
Mhm.
made mixed
Yeah.
bag. So parallelism was something in sentence correction, I recall. It seems like the easiest topic. It took me a lot of time,
Mhm.
so I did those questions. I did those questions again. uh,
Right. Right.
any particular topic, probability, it's strange, I work as a trader, but my probability and statistics isn't the greatest. So
Andres.
I did a lot of questions of probability and statistics from your modules as well.
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
Just one thing here. Do you think that because you took it as a dress rehearsal, you were so much more relaxed that your mind functioned at its peak? Had you taken it as a real exam in your head and nerves and anxiety would have kicked in, maybe would have been made a little worse? Is this why you believe you were in that flow state?
Yes, yes. And another thing was, uh, in this particular exam, it is an exam solely of concentration and you being in the zone. So
Right.
because I was in that zone of 2 weeks of
Mhm.
contiguous study,
Mm.
is why, or 2.5 weeks of contiguous study, is why I I think I excelled
It
at it.
just seemed like one more day of study. That's it.
Yeah, it was the
Nothing
same.
real.
I mean, I was giving two, so I gave two mocks and then doing the
Mm.
same mocks, redoing them as I mentioned.
Mhm.
So that was my 2 days before the exam, and I
Mhm.
realized that okay, I was still a little jittery that hey, maybe I don't know this particular concept or not, but I realized that I've done enough questions and more. So if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But I am
Right. Right.
doing now for my dress rehearsal, and that really helped me. I had no absolutely no pressure because I knew, say I think the time between papers is 16 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So I would go back to Bombay and give it again.
Right. Right.
The strange thing was, I believe that if I were to have taken that 16-day break,
Mm.
come back to work, gone through the whole
Mm.
rigmarole of going back to work, driving, etc.,
Mm.
I don't feel that I would probably be in the same headspace. It's the
Right.
ambiguous nature that really, I think, killed it for me.
Right, right. And anything you saw unusual on the exam day that this is the type of question I've never seen, or this is the anything like that on
No,
any of the topics?
no, not really. I mean, there were questions that were hard, and I'm sure that I would have made mistakes.
Mhm.
I Since I got a good score, I didn't think of spending money on the error log or whatsoever.
Yeah, I got that.
But I'm sure I got some questions wrong. There were some tough questions. So I the good thing about this exam, or like the sharp thing about this exam, is if I'm getting tough questions that I'm unable to answer in that time
Mm.
span that I'm used to, I don't know whether I'm screwing up or whether these questions are very hard because I've done well so far.
That's
So,
right.
but no, nothing that was out of the ordinary.
Mm.
I
Tough is okay because the content is also full of many tough questions,
Yeah,
but unusual, I'm asking like, I don't know what I can do on this problem.
no.
Nothing like that. Any piece of advice that you would have for people they shouldn't do or they should do, according to you?
It's practice, practice, practice. Don't take breaks in between. Now I understand taking 2 weeks off, probably is hard for people. It was hard for me also. That's why this whole journey is how I came to realize that I needed to.
Mhm.
But practice, do the mocks, and keep doing doing questions. It's you can so even if it's Sandeep's handouts, you can read the handouts and reread them, but you need to match that with the practice. Otherwise, those handouts will not do you much good. They are great.
Application of strategy and non-stop application of strategy. I think that puts you in the zone then.
Yeah, it's great because it's complementary, the handouts and the problem sets in procedure.
And what made you decide to reveal your score to us so late?
Uh,
Finally, because you didn't when you got the score. So just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
know
So
on a lighter note.
I decided, to be honest, I was grateful, but I didn't know how to reach out to you at that point. And then I was just sitting. It was like 1 a.m. at night, and I
Mhm.
decided, and I'm working on my college applications now for
Mhm.
round one.
Okay.
So I saw an email of yours, and I was like, I don't know whether this will bounce back to me or not. I just thought that I'll just write a couple of lines. So.
Great, great. You did tell us finally, and all the way best, Siddhant, with your applications. If you need any assistance on any level, formal or informal, do let us know because one person from your college, as you know, right now, we discussed this yesterday.
Yeah.
Anudeep Atlur has just got to Kellogg and to a dual program, MBA and MS. So outstanding achievement, 760. I think with your profile, you should be able to nail an M7 school now.
Yeah.
Really, really happy that we came to know about the success, and thanks for letting us know that whatever exactly worked in the course content.
Thank
See
you.
you then. Bye bye. Bye.
Thank you.